Hey everybody, this is Nina D from the Femmes of Rock show. I'm here on the Talking About Rock show, and we're about to have a really fun interview.
All right, today's guest is a classically trained Yamaha string artist. She's a writer and entrepreneur, famous for pioneering the electric rock violin performance. She's also the founder of the massive touring production, Femmes of Rock, and the entertainment company, Bella Electric Strings. Let's welcome back Nina D to the show. Nina, how are you?
Good, how are you? It's great to see you again.
Definitely. So when we last spoke, the viral electric violin cover of Van Halen's Eruption had kind of just started hitting the internet. Such a crazy time that was, definitely.
Yes, definitely. It's been, maybe like a year and a half or something like that since I released that video. I've uploaded it multiple times to various platforms, and combined, it's probably got over 30 million views now. So it really exploded worldwide.
Yeah, definitely amazing. And not just Van Halen. I don't think some people may not realize. So you're doing a lot of hard rock anthems, really. AC/DC, Queen, Guns N' Roses, Ozzy, Metallica. You're running the gambit with a lot of different stuff.
Yeah, basically the whole concept for the Femmes of Rock show stemmed around my love of classic rock and prog guitar players. So I listen to these guitar solos from, my favorite bands, Van Halen, The Who, Jimi Hendrix, Led Zeppelin, Pink Floyd, Rush, since I was young and through college, and I wanted to try and do what they did on their instruments on my instrument, because I hadn't yet seen a lot of those things being done yet. Yes, I'd seen violinists cover songs, but on a violin that sounded like a violin. And I wanted to try and say, hey, can I actually take my electric violin and figure out how to make it sound exactly like an electric guitar with, emulating bends and dive bombs and even finger tapping and things like that. So that's actually the hard part. And a lot of people are like, oh, well, that doesn't impress me on that instrument. Do it on an acoustic violin. And they don't understand. I'm like, if I did it on an acoustic violin, I could do it in like 3 seconds. Like, the hard part is creating the sounds and the technique to do it on an electric violin to sound like Eddie Van Halen or Jimmy Page or David Gilmour.
Yeah, definitely. And so let's talk about some of the artists you've covered. And speaking of feedback, you've gotten some great feedback from these stars, right? So Alex Lifeson of Rush, who stated, you know what, I think terrific response for your terrific effort. From Alex Lifeson himself. Excellent to hear that. And I mean, the list goes on here, what I was reading. Zach Wilde from Ozzy Osbourne, No More Tears, commenting on your solo that you did with the Ozzy track there, No More Tears. Michael Anthony from Van Halen, the founding Van Halen bassist, repeatedly commenting on your videos, giving his seal of approval. And one of my favorites, the legendary Peter Frampton, actually shared your video of Do You Feel Like We Do, applauding your ability. Now, that speaks volumes to me. Rock and Roll Hall of Famer right there.
Yeah, definitely. It was one of the, side effects of starting to make these videos during COVID when we were all stuck at home that I never expected to happen. I mean, when we first started seeing the original artists who had played these solos or had been involved in the bands that did start commenting on them, it was kind of crazy. We never expected that sort of response to this.
Right, because they don't have time usually for social media. They're usually doing a lot of stuff, right?
Yeah, so basically, when some random person from Middle America comments that it sucks and they hate it, but then the actual person who played the solo was like, "Oh, that was amazing." I'm like, "Well, then you're just dumb. I don't care. This person thinks it's okay." That's all I need. So.
Right, exactly. You get the artist seal of approval. You can't get any higher than that, folks. All right. The original artist is giving her kudos. So whoever else is giving their comments, that's really going down the ladder big time.
Yeah, and it actually, so Peter Frampton shared the video, and my husband and I got to meet Alex Lifeson because of our cover that we did of Limelight. We did a two-person cover where between the two of us, we played all the instruments, and he sang of Rush's Limelight. And Alex Lifeson's sister saw the video, sent it to Alex, and that just led to a chain of events that we ended up having lunch with him in Toronto. Like, we got to meet one of our heroes, and obviously Rush just this week, started touring again, and we were so excited about that. And we're going to actually see them in August.
Yeah, the 50-something tour with Annika Niles on drums. Yeah, it does some amazing stuff. So I'm sure this has been thought about a little bit. You're getting feedback from some of these big artists. You're going out there meeting some of them. Maybe they can sit with you and do a collab for something like this. Has that been thrown around for any of these tracks yet?
Well, for one artist, and I don't think it's been released yet, so I can't say anything about it. I'm not at liberty to, but I was asked to record a solo for a major artist that I think will maybe be released later this year. So once that happens, I'll post about it.
Excellent.
So yes, I mean, to be able to be hired to actually play a solo in my style on the electric violin and not be hired as someone who just is going to play the violin. As a violinist, it's like, hey, I need some strings for my recording, and then like they send you the track and it's like pad strings or backing strings. Sometimes it's a country track where they want fiddle, and I usually won't record on those because I'm from New York. It's not in my blood to be a fiddler, so I send them to my friends who really are great fiddlers, But to actually be hired on a recording to be like, I love the solos you do with all those crazy effects. Can you put one on my track? Now that makes me feel like, all right, now I'm getting somewhere with doing what I want to do, on my terms and not just being hired to play whole notes on somebody's record.
Yeah, definitely. You have a custom-made 7-string fretted Viper electric violin. Tell us a little bit about that. That sounds amazing.
Well, let me see here. I don't have the 7-string sitting behind me, but I do have a 5-string sitting behind me here. So this one actually just came back from the shop. That's why it's all bubbled up. I haven't played it yet. It's got a new bridge pickup installed on it. This one has phantom frets here. These aren't raised frets. They're just kind of for the look. But my 7-string and my 6-string have actual raised frets. Now, the good thing about these Viper violins is there's a strap that attaches to them when you're playing where you can be totally hands-free. So, actually I can show you exactly how that works because I have one right here. So you put the strap on the side of it here. It goes around your body. And in my show, I sing at the same time that I'm playing a lot of the time. And I also use a talk box. So I can't be having to have this clumsy instrument the whole time when I'm doing it. So as you can see, I'm totally hands-free. So when I want to sing, I can just move my body the other way, get up to the microphone. I could use the talk box tube, and I just have much more freedom. Also, when you're in a show and you're trying to get the audience into it and clapping sometimes or doing various things, when you're holding an instrument and a bow in your hand, it's a little awkward. But for me, I could just kind of be like, yeah, all right, everybody wave your hands or whatever, totally hands-free. So that's how this instrument works. And the fretted one is a 7-string, which means I have range even below a cello. So I have the full range of the guitar and then down into bass guitar range on that instrument, which I needed the 7-string to hit all of the notes in Eruption properly. I also needed the frets to be able to do finger tapping because it's not possible on a fretless instrument. I mean, you can kind of, but it just doesn't sound the same. It's really hard to make speak and not have extra overtones if you're not isolating them with frets like that.
Yeah, definitely. Just amazing. So you talked about it a little bit. You're originally from New York, I guess Lewiston, New York, and you hold a formal degree in violin performance and English, I was reading.
Yes, I have a bachelor's degree in violin performance and English from University of Buffalo, and then I have a master's degree in violin performance from UNLV, and I'm originally from Lewiston. I've never performed at Art Park before, which is in Lewiston, which is where we're going to be on July 10th, and I graduated high school on the Art Park stage. Like, that's where I walked across and got my degree, so this is like really a part of my childhood, a part of my entire life. And although we've played at UB, we've played the Casino, we played the Riviera a number of times, we've never played Art Park. So I'm very excited to be actually in Lewiston, New York on July 10th in my little hometown that's like a little slice of heaven, performing for the first time.
Yeah, I was going to say, you're playing your hometown. I'm sure lots of family and friends are going to be coming out there. I'll be out there to see the show. That's definitely going to be amazing. When I saw that, I can't believe you haven't played our park yet. I mean, you were right there, but that's got to bring back so many memories. You said you walked across that stage for graduation. Yeah.
That's right. But while I lived in the Buffalo area, I was still young, so I hadn't really begun my career yet. I was a student in college. I worked 3 jobs to pay for my apartment and everything else that I did. So I wasn't really gigging at that time. I played in the orchestra at UB, and I was a waitress at Hard Rock Cafe in Niagara Falls for a while and a couple other restaurants. And, I was a college kid. So when I moved to Las Vegas, that's really when my professional gigging career started. When I was in Buffalo, there were a couple bands that as a kid, my dad would be like, oh, my buddies are in this band. Can my daughter sit in with you? Like, she plays violin and she loves all these rock songs. And actually, one of those bands is opening for us at Art Park, the USA Band, a classic rock band from Niagara Falls, New York. And that was maybe one of the first bands I ever sat in with and got that first toe in the water of playing in a rock band. I think I might have been played like Whiter Shade of Pale and 25 or 6 to 4 and Baba O'Reilly and maybe Kashmir. But that band let me sit in when I was probably 13 or 14 years old, really young. And that was, you're kind of, once you play with a rock band in front of an audience, you're kind of addicted. So it's kind of really exciting that they're actually going to be there with us at Art Park.
Yeah, definitely. So we know you're in the Vegas area. How is the temperature now as far as, the rock scene in Vegas and the bands playing out there?
Temperature. I was like, well, it's only 90 today. It's not that bad.
It's not 115 today there?
No, it's actually okay, the temperature today. I'm okay with this. Vegas is a funny town. It changes quickly. And I would say, like, the lounge scene, if you're a rock band and you're going to play the lounge scene here, what I mean by the lounge scene are like the free performances in one of the casino lounges that are near one of the bars, but they have, a few hundred seats in them, 300 to 500 seats, something like that. That's always been pretty consistent. Some of the casinos have shut down their showrooms or lounges and turned them into gambling places or bingo halls and stuff. So it's been tough to see some of that kind of happen. Like, there aren't as many venues that have a decent budget for free lounge rock bands in Vegas that there was when I moved here. And the showroom scene for a mid-level entertaining act is, I think it's worse than it was 10, 15 years ago, because a lot of these venues that are opening up, like the Sphere or Park MGM, like, you're not going to get into these places to play unless you are like a really high-end touring act. The content costs so much money to create at the Sphere. They're only going to put famous people in there. If you're going to have a residency, you're going to be Bruno Mars or Lady Gaga or something like that. Right. And in the 2000s and 2010s, you could still have an affordable show where the ticket's like $50, $60, mid-level entertainment from people who weren't superstars like Lady Gaga or Bruno Mars or something like that. I think a lot of those opportunities have gone away, but there are very good places that still support local entertainers. The Smith Center is kind of like our Carnegie Hall. They have a smaller kind of jazz club and a larger concert hall that's beautiful and gorgeous, where we're going to be playing on July 25th. We're doing the very first ever Femmes of Rock symphonic show with an orchestra behind us. And I've been, working on the music nonstop for that show to debut it. So we love going there. We go there once or twice a year. And that's the extent that we perform our show in Vegas. It's just not what it was, where mid-level entertainment can have a 5-night-a-week residency. So, we would love that, because then we won't have to get on the planes and deal with all that crap that comes along with it all the time. But unfortunately, like, the gigs for us are still in towns across America where people don't get a lot of entertainment, and they have a performing arts center or a casino and they want to hear some classic rock music. And we love those places because they're so appreciative of the music whenever we go there. Vegas is a funny place because they have so many entertainment options that if you're not in the right place, it's very hard to sell tickets because at any given time, they could go see the Raiders play, they could go see the Golden Knights play, they could go to the Sphere and see someone super famous, they could go to they have 35 choices of high level entertainment like at any given time. So going to Woonsocket, Rhode Island, it's much easier for us to sell tickets there, and they really appreciate the entertainment and they love classic rock music. And so, while we don't enjoy the travel, we really love the fans in those sorts of places.
Yeah, I was going to say the travel is definitely becoming more and more difficult. And if we've seen Vegas struggle, a lot of folks are not heading there. They're definitely not making the money and having the different folks head out there anymore at this point. But yeah, that's great, definitely. So I got to get your take on this because I know you chime in this about Buffalo all the time. You're a sports fan. So I don't know if you got any feedback about the Bills or the Sabres, anything you want to voice about that. They started Bills training camp. But again, we got no Sabres Stanley Cup. So there's the two things going on, right?
There's the two things going on. And I put them in slightly different categories. So basically you have one expectation of the Bills because they've been contenders for a long time
right.
now.
I think the expectation is win a Super Bowl before we die. Right?
For the love of God.
Right? That's the expectation, right?
For the Sabres, they were one of the worst teams in hockey a year ago. So to see this group of guys and the coaching and to see them go from that to where they made it this year, I'm not that angry about it like I am with the Bills because they came a long way in one season to be able to be a contender in the Stanley Cup playoffs. Now that last goal, it was kind of a cheap little petering in little goal that eliminated them. That was just stupid. But, like I said, I'm still proud of the Sabres because they came a long way. The Bills, it's you get your crap together now. Come on now. This is ridiculous. And when I see things happen, at the end of last season, I spent the whole last year screaming at the television set that why is our offensive scheme so vanilla and so boring and so predictable and so JV? We're either going to run up the middle, we have two plays, or we're going to do a sideways pass to the line of scrimmage with an attempted screen or something like that. And it would make me so mad because I'm then you watch teams like the Seahawks or the Rams and it's oh yeah, there's some offensive scheming. So for me, I was kind of what is Joe Brady doing? And then he gets to the head coach.
Right. There was a lot of talk about that. So he better get something going on, right?
Well, in my mind, I spent a whole year yelling at this guy through the TV screen. So my only hope that I'm hanging on to is maybe it was Sean McDermott that was making them do these little predictable plays constantly all year long. And maybe he wouldn't let Joe Brady call other plays. But if that's not the case, I'm holding a grudge against them. I'm just mad at the Bills right now. Before the season starts, I'll be okay again. But I really need to see that happening. And then when you see things, when you want to talk about the general manager and the money situation and making moves, it's Myles Garrett just goes to the Rams. Now they're probably, now they're serious. They're going all in for a Super Bowl this year.
100%.
Why do the Bills make that move? We make these little weird moves all the time, I don't know. And then when we do make a big move, it never works out and the person gets injured and then their career is done, like Von Miller. It's I don't know. Anyways, I'm gonna hope for the best with Joe Brady, but he's got something to prove. So
yeah, 100%. And they lit a fire under the Sabres' butts this year. That's how they got as far as they did. But anyways, let's see what happens to that. So back to what's happening here. We know we got shows lined up. Kicks off on July 10th at Art Park in Lewiston, New York, like we were saying. So very, very cool. And you can check out all the rest of the dates at femmesofrock.com. All right. Excellent. So good to talk to you, Nina. Thank you so much.
Yeah, it was great to talk to you again. And hopefully we'll see you on July 10th.
Yep. Definitely see you out there at Art Park for that. All right. So that wraps up this episode. Thanks to my guest today, Nina D. And to our listeners out there, we hope you're doing your part by keeping the torch alive and supporting live music wherever you are. Nina, again, thank you.
Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.